When I was a kid, I remember I fell asleep and one thought came out in my mind and was like, everything that is being built, the heroes, the palace, the masterpieces, everything is nothing without the story. So the only thing that at the end is going to remain of us is the story that other people are going to tell about us. I like the story of a kid, a normal one, a little bit shorter than the others, has less abilities, but with falling in love with something, he managed to create a life that is worthwhile living. And by saying that, I don't mean that is a life without pain and, disappointment, but at least most of the things that are gonna disappoint you or cause you pain are related to the things that you love the most.
Aggiorniamolo. Red Scorpion, dici pure.
Aspetta, ascoltami bene.
Nicht in dem Sieg von Felix Schulz. Und mein Gott! Scorpion, jetzt mit dem Sieg!
Red Scorpion is a fantastic wrestler, and we have wrestled before, so we know each other. There's that aspect of it too.
Red Scorpion is probably the best wrestler in Europe. He's so skilled, he's so athletic. I love that guy. He's phenomenal. Very, very unique in the ring, but outside of the ring, he's even better.
Italy has a great wrestling scene, and Red Scorpion is one of the best Italian wrestlers in the world, maybe the.
You know what, for him to be the kind of guy from here and the well-known Italian wrestler, that's cool too, and it's gonna create, I think, a fun dynamic.
I think the world of him, and he's very inspiring to me. Like, he took me to his gym earlier today. What he's doing is just brilliant, so it made me think, oh, there's so many ideas now that I want to try and take inspiration, so.
He's one of the smoothest and best wrestlers that I know, and I think a huge amount of credit goes to him in terms of his dedication to the craft.
He's an OG, he's been around for a while. I feel like anyone with a training school, anyone with that kind of reputation is like someone that's worth flying to a different country to wrestle, you know what I mean? So.
The guy's good. The guy's very good. Io e Red ci conosciamo quindi dal 2008, ci siamo sempre promessi che ci saremmo rivisti finché oggi insomma ci rivediamo per la prima volta su ring, decisamente in un match diverso perché con molta più esperienza, anche con molto più nome entrambi, e sono veramente molto contento perché sicuramente non sarà facile in realtà, anzi.
When I started wrestling as a kid, I had this huge respect and deep wanting of connection with big European names like Bambi Killer, like Kenzo Richards or Michael Kovac and other wrestlers. I remember I was asking the promoters just to appear for free if I saw in the poster few guys that were better and more skilled or with more experience than me. And I carried that thing with me growing. So I never saw my opponents as a fan, but as a student that wants to learn, and in front of him there is a great master. When I had my match with Rob Van Dam, he is a legend, Hall of Famer, I learned how a wrestler have to keep their shape and flexible and stuff, because he was 47. I was 27. So he was in an amazing shape, and I was just anxious to provide a nice performance to get him over. That's why when he asked me, what do you want to do in the match? I said, it doesn't matter, people want to see the frog splash. So, yeah, but if you want to do something, and he was very giving, what do you want to do? So, okay, of course, I put a couple of moves, but I was focused to make him look good. And the same thing I did with Tajiri, and with Elias, and with Carlito, and Chris Masters. We had so many matches with Chris Masters, and I remember I always try to be as equal as them, but understanding that they know more. So having that respect and that wanting, my questions were always very accurate. It was not silly and stupid things. Yeah, sometimes we had funny moments, but that was a step every time closer and closer and closer to understand better. Many of those wrestlers, I have the same respect for them, but now I can consider few of them friends, like Tajiri or Elias or Chris Masters. I remember I had the chance to work for Bret Hart in Calgary, and at the time Chris Masters was the champion there. And when I arrived to the venue, he said, hey, we usually see us, yeah, of course, in Italy and around the world, because we've been in England or in Pakistan together in many places. But boy, I'm so happy to see you here in Canada. It made me feel so strange. And he introduced me to all the amazing performers that were working that day. He made his best to make me feel appreciated, and he said to everybody, he is Scorpion, he is my Italian brother, and then everybody were super nice to me, which is a very big step, because sometimes when you are the new one in the locker room, it's not always very pleasant. I just want to be one of them, because I always become friends with those that were amazing. Like Tajiri is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful character. Rob Van Dam is one of a kind. When I was a kid, if I have to tell the story, like with the time machine, I can come back to 2006 and say, hey, remember that once in a while, RVD maybe is gonna send you a text with Merry Christmas. And I want to say this to the kid that was watching SmackDown in 2005 on the main channels in Italy. So I'm very happy that I can consider them friends, but I also want to be one of them. And to be one of them, you need to have the final experience that probably make you understand even better the whole process, and how the life of those guys turn out in different paths because of those 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or 20 years exposed to the worldwide of the wrestling fans. In my 20 plus years of wrestling, in the last 3 years, I have experienced the biggest height, the biggest and dangerous lows, and at the same time, the biggest height again. And I always come out, even from very dark moments or problems you can have in your life, like losing a father or losing a mother, or having a very heavy backstory, let's say. At the end, I always choose wrestling. Every time I had something bad in my life that maybe slow me down a little bit in wrestling, that was like a spring that was pulled back. As soon as that bad experience ends, the spring is released, and I was able to go even a little bit further. And also, this blew my mind. After a dark moment, you seek knowledge. That's so precious, because when life is good and is always good, you don't question, you don't grow. But when you have a very dark moment, you start to question. And when you start to feel better, you also realize that you have to do what you love better. So you have to learn. So you get back in school. I never had so much fun doing wrestling. I can compare when I started in 2007. At the beginning was a naive love, because wrestling was make me feel good. But at the end, I have realized, not just related to wrestling, that the things that you love, and also the things that probably loves you, not always make you feel good. Every young wrestlers say, I want to go to WWE. It's the main thing we all said. We're going to go to WWE. Then they start wrestling and they get married, they get a wife, and they stop doing wrestling. But being able to say, I want to go there through the process, because the process is very different than wanting a thing. Like, I'm watching television and I see Phil Collins singing a song, and I say, wow, I want to be a great singer like Phil Collins. And of course, you don't. Because if you want to be a singer, you have to study, you have to practice, and you have to embrace the life that a singer have to embrace. That's why I call the naive love, because it was a love for a thing that made me feel good. But then I also felt in love with the process and with the ups and downs of the process. And now I am 34. Of course, I want to be there. Of course, I see myself in some way there, doing what I love to do or something else related to what I love to do. But at the same time, with the age now, I also realize that I have to find the beauty in other things. I think that I am in that moment, which can expand for a few years, but it's a moment which is now or never in the way you want to do it. I met so many WWE or former WWE superstars, or guys that at the end went to WWE, and when we face each other in the ring and afterwards, and I show them my academy, I show them my students, and they see the car I drive or the things, let's say, I have, and they say, you know, the dream of a professional wrestler is live with wrestling, earn his money with wrestling, and build his retirement with wrestling. Like, let's say you get exposed in television, you became a character, you do it for 5, 6, 10, 20 years, then you can become probably a megastar. But let's say the basic package, the basic dream, you work 3 to 5 to 7 years in a company that is worldwide exposed, then you retire. Because of that, you start to work in independence, you start to do seminars, you at the end open, or meanwhile you open a wrestling school, you have students, then you're gonna have co-trainers, then you start doing your shows, etc., etc. So wrestling, because that exposition is gonna give you the retirement of your life. And I already achieved that, because in order to become successful in Italy and Europe, I had to create those things and those businesses first to help me and support me in an environment that it doesn't pay you always as much as you're worth for your performance. So I had to find a way to pay myself with the merchandise, with television, with the commercial, with the sponsor, with the supplements, everything related to something that can be involved with wrestling. So let's say last month I took 27 flights in 4/5 weeks, which is a lot. In the meantime, I recorded television spots, YouTube, Spotify. So I have achieved that. I can retire. If I want to retire, I can retire happily. I can just manage my businesses and help my businesses grow. But to be really, really honest, my main goal always was, even without understanding, and now still is, after 20 years, make it in the big league to get wrestling even more exposed and popular in Italy and help him become not something like a tradition, because it never was a tradition, but a way to enjoy entertainment. Like, one of the possibilities, we have football, we have comedians, stand-up comedians, and we have wrestling, and this is part of the Italian entertainment. So why I want to go in the big league? Because the main thing will be being able to come out of the curtain and seeing in the crowd the people I love standing and cheering for me, but without me asking them to join to the show. Which is never sporadically, yes, but all the people I loved that showed up at the shows, I had always to invite them. So that's the smallest thing, but for me is crucial. When you work in the major leagues, and probably in the world there is just a few that can expose you worldwide, you don't have to invite anyone to the show. They will come because they will know before you, because they're going to see you in the presses, they're going to see you in the LED wall, they're going to talk about you in the interviews. To reach love from the people that you love, actually, but also to reach new people that probably and possibly can fall in love with your process of growth. You give them entertainment and they give you back love, doing what you love to do. And in wrestling, the exciting thing, you don't force anyone to love you. Crowd are gonna love you if they cheer for you or if they boo you. That's the best way you can give a person to love you, in the positive or in the negative way. And it's gonna be held just in the wrestling bubble. Outside of that, we are normal human beings, we enjoy life and we have our stories and blah, blah, blah. But for that 10 minutes, you are, yes, a wrestler, but basically you are an actor and you have to portray a role. You have to create a character that exists and decide to give this character a life. And sometimes can be the winner, sometimes can be the loser, sometimes the character is a world champion, sometimes the character is the evil, bitter and talker, and sometimes you are a silly one. You make the people love you through the hate they're gonna feel for you. They're gonna love to hate you. I always say wrestling is like a circus, and if a circus is made only by elephants, at a certain point, even those giants became boring. So we need the lions, like the champions. We need the elephants, the super heavyweights. You know, we need the gymnast, lucha libre. We need the clowns, characters, etc., etc. And that is a wonderful way and less painful for the animals way to see a modern way circus.
Non essere avido, sai? Sei un po' rognoso te. Guarda la camera.
Who is the best wrestler in the world? It's Red Scorpion. Yes.
Congratulations, my brother.
Yes. Guys, he's the man. My poor opponent had a very hard time. He was scared, man. He was scared.
It was good.
El patrón.
Es un trabajo, lucha libre triple A. Es un trabajo fenomenal aquí en the Harvard School. You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
He's a great trainer. He's the best.
Hiciste increíble. La gente parada por sus asientos. People were cheering for him, booing you. You got them rolling, my brother.
I owe you. Thank you,
did
my
a
brother.
really good job. Great team, Italy and Mexico.
I've been in the ring with The Rock, I've been in the ring with Hulk Hogan, I even pinned Vince McMahon. Red Scorpion is the best wrestler I've ever been in the ring with.
I had a blast, man. It was good to work a different style, because obviously I'm always wrestling the kind of higher paced modern style, so it was really good to step in with a real OG of the game and get to learn from him.